everyone, I'm Rebekah Andes, and I'm here today with my husband,
William Andes.
He is the owner of our company and his Realty team, a local real estate business in southern Indiana. And I have a list of questions here today to ask him, and we're just going to jump right into it. What is happening in our local market right now that most consumers don't realize?
Great question. I have had so many questions asked to me about what is happening right now with, we thought there were going to be significant interest rate drops, which we did have a few. So we came down close to 0.75 basis points. What I had in my business, and not only me, but I talked to several agents, that December was one of the busiest Decembers that they've seen in a long time. And I can speak the same for me, as December was very busy in our business going into January. So usually when it comes to holiday time, December, January, February, it's not super busy, but we have seen a significant uptick, and we can definitely tie it to the interest rate drop that we saw. Now, politically, obviously, there's a transition coming with the Fed chair, which is over the interest rate. He's about to move in May, and there's going to be a new person appointed for that. When that person is appointed, no doubt interest rates possibly could change. Whether they do or they don't, at least what we have right now is hope. And I think the vast majority of the market doesn't understand that, is there's hope now. And that's what's driving the activity that we've seen, is people are seeing, hey, I can save at least a little bit on my monthly payment if they're locked in at 7 or 8%. So that's what a lot of people aren't seeing on my end, is the amount of activity that we saw from the hope that's been in the marketplace.
My follow-up question to that would be, why are people having so much activity in selling and buying right now if they know it's just hope for what's coming? Why wouldn't they wait till then?
I think possibly is they don't know. And that's the uncertainty that drives markets in many cases, is because interest rates could go up in a month or two. Who knows what's going to happen with the world stage and where we are currently in the economy. Things could change and interest rates could go up to 7 and 8%. So the hope is, hey, we see a little bit of a drop. We could wait 6 months, a year, but that's all speculation what may happen. Why don't we just jump in now? So there's a statement in real estate that says you marry the house, you date the rate. And in the dating game, there's the dating phase, and then there's the I'm actually serious phase. And the beauty of marrying the house is that's where you want to live. We realize that the interest rate that we have now is not going to be the interest rate that we have for 5 years, most likely. If rates drop below 5%, we're going to refinance. So the hope is understanding that rates may go up. And if I can find the exact house that I want, as buyers, this is a great time to negotiate, because we're not fully in a seller's market. If those rates drop down to 5%, most likely we'll be in a seller's market. But right now, buyers can still negotiate $10, $20, $30, $50,000 off of a property, because there's enough hope to get them into the game, and they know that whenever these rates may drop, that they can refinance. If interest rates drop 1%, 2%, 3%, people will be saving hundreds of dollars a month on their monthly payment, depending on their situation.
All right, question I have for you is, how would you describe current inventory levels and buyer demand? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, current inventory levels, we had an influx of inventory when interest rates went way up. And just a simple explanation of that is when interest rates go up, then the inventory begins to go up. Because if someone can afford a house at $1,500 a month and that's all they can spend, then as interest rates come down, they can get more house for their money. So we're at a stable inventory level. We don't have listings that are sitting stagnant for months and months and months unless there's an issue with them. So we do see that, but it's not as bad as it was when we were at 7 and 8% interest rates. So right now in the market, once again, like I said before, is you can find the perfect house right now, and there's more time on the market. So with the rate situation, I could advise someone wait until we get to 5%. And I've had different buyers say, if rates could get to this, then I'll move. The amount of conversations that I've had of people saying, I want to wait until rates get to here,
Mhm.
because there's so many people saying that conversation right now. When rates get to here is when the masses are going to jump in. And then what's that going to cause? That's going to cause the home price to skyrocket or soar because there's so many buyers that want that. So then we switch into a seller's market. So if you're holding onto a piece of real estate, you want to sell your house, it's a great time to own real estate. But for the buyers, it's not the greatest thing. So what I'm seeing right now, people who want to buy right now, it is the prime time, because it's just like people talk about seasonality, spring and fall. And during the spring, a lot of people list their homes. But January and February leading up to March are actually prime months to list a property. And then going into March, because once you hit April, May, June is when there's so much competition for those properties. Whereas for buyers right now, you can still negotiate a pretty decent amount on the property.
Next question for you is, which neighborhoods or property types do you believe are undervalued today and why?
That's kind of a double-edged sword. So Southern Indiana, I'm just going to go region specific here. I was listening to a YouTube podcast, and they were talking about the silent investors in Indiana and how we have people coming from all these other states to invest in Indiana. So I'll take that regional to say that Southern Indiana has been the sleeper area. Indiana as a whole has been the sleeper state, because this gentleman was saying, he said, why would I buy a property in X state? So he might have been talking about Florida. Why would I buy a property in Florida when I could buy 2 or 3 properties in Indiana and pay the same price? So the appreciation right now, we're appreciating at a rapid rate. Like, we're in Charlestown here, and the average home price in Charlestown 10 years ago was significantly less than where it is now. And it's within 10 years, I think it's been close to double. Looking at where we were to where we are now, anyone that I talk to in this area, when you talk about traffic, these roads have filled up with traffic. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, before River Ridge development came in, the traffic was not really that bad. And even Charlestown, people would talk about Charlestown being like the country town. Well, you drive around Charlestown now, and there's development after development, because you're not too close to the city, but you're not too far away as well. So regionally, Indiana is the sleeper state, and a lot of investors are recognizing that. Like, I'm working with a California investor right now, and he bought in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Why would a California guy invest in Indiana? Is because he understands that this is still a great time to buy as valuations are increasing rapidly.
Well, so coupled with what we just talked about, national trends plus our regional trends, how do you stay ahead of local market shifts?
Local market shifts are unique. So you have Floyd's Knobs, Indiana, New Albany, Indiana, Floyd County, Indiana. Now you have Charlestown. Watching the market trends from a local thing, you won't always see that on ChatGPT or on video somewhere. I can analyze how buyers and sellers are reacting in different areas. So I'm going local on what are trends that my buyers that I'm talking to every day and my sellers that I'm talking to every day, what is the feedback that I'm getting from them? Because how they feel is how the market is. So we talk about this leads and needs. A lead, if anyone is in business, understands that a lead, a business is run on leads. Well, the way I look at that is needs. A lead is a need. If someone needs something, like for example, one of my clients, she was actually a special client to me. Her husband recently passed away, and they had moved into a new construction home with a great builder, ASB. But her husband passed away shortly after they moved into the house. And she has a need now because her husband can't shovel the snow. He can't put out the salt. He can't do a lot of the yard maintenance that he previously could. So there's a need there for her to start understanding, hey, maybe from my positioning, I might need to transition because I don't need all this house. So watching for her, what's the market doing with condos? So understanding local buyers and sellers. That's the key that a professional agent, and I'm not going to say anything about myself, I'm just going to say as a whole, a professional agent is in the trenches, understanding what people are telling them versus rather what people are just researching online. So I think it's good to keep a pulse on what your people are telling you versus what people maybe online are just surfing. Because if you're a really good business person, you can catch trends before they actually happen. And that's where the opportunity arises is if you can understand that, hey, before Meta, for example, like Meta, the data center just down the way, or Amazon, if you could have caught wind before all of that happened, then you could have bought up real estate around those areas. So having that physical, personal touch on our local trends, understanding luxury. So there's different areas in Charlestown that are more luxury and bougie than other areas. Floyd's Knobs, for example. There's other areas that are more luxury than other regions. So identify, hey, where are these areas that I have a buyer? And I just had one of my clients, he was in Prospect, and he saved thousands of dollars because he caught the right trend for the house that he moved into.
So, what does success look like for your clients?
Success for my clients is having a successful process from start to finish. I made another video about this.
Yeah, we can link that one down below.
Yeah. And this is from the first appointment, signing the agreement that our seller or our buyer says, hey, I really want to work with you guys. And then from there is educating the seller through each step of the process. Now, there's different personality types that need different information. So I understand that some clients need a lot of hand holding and other clients are like the D-type personality that's like, don't call me unless there's an offer, or don't call me unless you're telling me that we're at the closing table. So understanding there's different personality types out there. And I've actually teamed up with my transaction coordinator. And what she does is she, once we go under contract, notifies us through each step of that process. Now, when we list a property, coming from a listing, transitioning over into getting under contract, that's a whole process in and of itself. So keeping my clients updated, but then also after you go under contract on a property, that's just the start. So I kind of chuckle inside myself when someone sees that we get an offer accepted on a property and they're like, you sold that property. And I jokingly say, no, we're under contract because we're not sold. Once you go under contract, that's just the start.
No, that actually, like now that I've learned so much more about real estate, just being in the business, it's just funny. I used to see things where it's like, oh yeah, we get the phone call of, you got the house. And it's like, no, they never had the house at that stage. It was just, we're going into this process now.
Yeah, so it's the big C word.
Yeah.
The closing word.
That's what you want to hear.
Yeah. Until you're closed, you don't fully have funding in your pocket or out of your pocket for the next property. So I see that my sellers, their appreciation to me is, William, you actually got it done. Right. It's not just we got it under contract and then somebody goes on vacation and then they're not able to get them to the closing table. Because if someone loses hundreds of thousands of dollars because they didn't actually sell their property, you can get the happy, fuzzy butterflies in your stomach. But if it falls apart, nobody is fully happy until we get to closing. So the biggest deliverability to the sellers is, hey guys, we don't just get them under contract, we actually get them to the closing table.
Yeah, you actually get a house. How do you educate clients throughout that process?
Yes, so educating them through the process, that's why I teamed up with our transaction coordinator, because I myself, I juggle a lot of different things. So I don't want people to feel left out from updates within the transaction. So our transaction coordinator, I specifically hired her so that she can be my right arm, so that when we hear back from the title company, or when we hear back from the lender, or when we hear back about the appraisal and the condition that it's in, then my transaction coordinator can relay that directly to the client because she keeps a pulse on that. So that's a big piece after we go under contract. And then obviously before, updating my sellers on, are we getting offers? Are we getting traction as well?
Well, this one's kind of a personal question. I think it's funny because I feel like I have the answer in my head, but I'm curious what you'll say. So, what type of clients do you work best with?
The type of client that I work best with is the client who sees the bigger picture of why we're doing what we're doing. Whether it's upsizing, if you have a family that is trying to upsize into a bigger home, clients like for us, for example, we just recently started our family with our little baby girl, and clients that are wanting to upsize that understand, hey, I want to build a family, or clients that are wanting to retire and they're looking for that piece because I don't know about everybody in our audience, but 10, 20, 30, $50,000 is a lot of money. And when you're going to your retirement and you understand that, hey, I'm going to retire with these funds and I don't want to go start a business or I don't want to go work at Home Depot or Lowe's, and nothing against that. But if you're working a job like that, after you retire, that's stress and time away from your grandkids or your family because you're trying to make up for things that you didn't make in whatever stage of life you're in. So the reason I bring that up is clients who are understanding and real and clear about their next move. Clarity is everything in this business. So whether it's young first time home buyer that just want to buy their first house, whether it's we're wanting to upsize because we have more children, whether it's I am looking to transition out of the area. I mean, really, it's all facets, but it's the clarity of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the clients that I work best with, is they have a clear step into that next transition because they understand this is why I'm doing it versus just, I think we're going to move. Okay, well, is there a reason why that you need to move? So if there's a real need there, that's the clients that I work best with, is knowing that, hey, I need to sell for highest and best, or I need to buy the perfect property for our family, and they're resolute in that decision.
I have one more question. Why should someone choose you over another top agent? So not just another agent, but another top agent.
Okay. So for me, I say this respectfully that I see people post about their vacations all the time. We're going out of country, or we're going out of state, or we're going here or there. And I think that's really good. But I want to create a life so good that I don't have to go on vacation. For me, I'm a local agent that doesn't feel the need that I need to escape from an operating reality. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy taking care of my people. And very rarely do I have to skate out for a release because my life is my release. I love building a business, building relationship with clients. And I think looking long term, the agent that is content in who they are in the area that they're meant to serve, which is, I've lived in Kentuckiana all my life. And living here, understanding that I love building a business that's consistent and reliable. And I think people who look up our brand, they can see that, I don't need to release myself from that. So why does William Andes think that he should be chosen over other agents? Because I am a unilateral focused type of person. I firmly believe you can only do a few things really, really well. So you don't see William Andes trying to go out and start a X, Y, and Z business because I'm resolute that real estate is my thing. I'm fully resolute in serving my clients because this is where I feel that I am meant to plant my feet down. And there's a stability in that because unilateral focus is understanding that this is the one thing that I can focus on and build. And I laugh about this sometimes. I had someone tell me that, hey, you can juggle all these different businesses and be successful. And maybe you can years down the road. But if you don't make one thing really, really, really successful, then all these other things will be mediocre. So the biggest thing for me is focusing on my business so that it is successful and that my clients get from under contract to closing. That's really the delineating factor for me, is I'm a focused agent on the real estate industry and I'm not distracted by a lot of these frying pan ideas.
You're driven.
Driven and focused for very few things rather than many things.
Yeah, and the one thing I know about being married to William is that, and I heard it before we even got married, where if William is determined to do one thing, he will accomplish that one thing. And if that's going to be real estate, he will accomplish that one thing. So I've seen that day after day.
Yeah, and it's for buyers and sellers of real estate. Like, that's my one thing. So there's people wanting to buy and there's people wanting to sell. And that's my one thing, is servicing my real estate sales business. Real estate is so multifaceted that you can get distracted in a period of seconds. Like, oh, rental properties. Oh, land development. Oh, building. Oh, out of state investing. And you can just get distracted versus, okay, that's great and good, but let's make sure that our clients win in the process.
Well, I think that's all of the questions we have time for today. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions for William, we do have his contact down below, and you can reach out to him for a phone call.
Yes, thank you for your time, and I look forward to talking soon.